Now here we are then, outside a shopping mall in Torino. For reasons that are completely unknown to me, the Italians drink a lot of cappuccino in the morning and not in the afternoon. So this is Lingotto. Nowadays it's probably one of the main shopping centers in Torino. But back in the 1920s, this building was the new flagship factory of Fiat. And on its rooftop is the only remaining high-speed rooftop circuit in the world. There were a couple more built, also in the 1920s. One in Belgium that's abandoned, and another one in Argentina that's now a flat complex. The place was bombarded in the Second World War. And after the bombardment, despite the fact that Fiat had thoughts of demolishing it themselves, they actually decided to keep it and streamroll it to produce some smaller Fiats. Anyway, now it's a shopping center. They have this sensational truck on top. Just imagine all the little Fiats running around here. What a piece of history. Our boys are doing graffiti up there. The importance of Fiat, especially after the war. The economy of Italy exploded partially because of the success of Fiat. Now, Fiat means Fabbrica Italiana Automobili Torino. However, it's not only that. It also has a Latin meaning, which translates to let it be, let it become, you know. I mean, it's genius. What are these sounds, man? This garden here makes a weird sound. You know what else they were making, man? They were creating workplaces for unemployed Italians. The amount of people, especially from the south of Italy, that emigrated to the north to work in such factories is mind-blowing. The rooftop hosts also an art gallery with Agnelli's personal collection of paintings. And what do you reckon of this Agnelli guy, man? He actually had a Modigliani in his private collection. We saw Modigliani here instead of Livorno. Stadio Philadelphia is visible from here.
Piano 0. La porta si apre.
Imagine the little Fiat storming up this ramp to get to the truck upstairs. I couldn't resist. Since we are on the subject of cars, let's pay a visit to this building here, man. Look at this masterpiece. Are you lot into cars? I am a proud not owner of one. Cadillac. Even I have to admit this is beautiful. This is the gear shifting thing. Imagine driving this thing, man. All right, there we have it. This is why we came here. Check them out. And all the Ferraris. To have participated in a Grand Prix. Can you imagine this one here being a Formula One car? Let's see, this is 1980. Gilles Villeneuve was driving this. 2005. Schumacher. The front wing collapsed. I've never been to a car exhibition, man, in my life, but I have to admit this is quite funny here. I tell you what, I do watch with great pleasure Formula One, man. I like Formula One since I was a kid, and I remember how devastated I was when Senna died. Check out River Po, or Padus. I'm not sure what's the name of this river in English. Anyway, these hills, Superga, where the accident happened with the Grande Torino accident, is further down the river, or up the river. The Po River Plateau is one of the biggest in Europe, and it's probably the biggest reason why northern Italy is so rich. I mean, imagine that. You have a huge surface of land which covers miles and miles of territory, and you have a river on which you can make commerce. Like, what more do you want? We have a squirrel action. Look at the speed of its reactions, man. It's sensational. Come on, speak to the camera. It's no food. People are doing donuts there. Look at all this burnt tire, man. That smoke, man. I can smell it from here. So the thing behind me is apparently the royal palace. That was the royal palace of the Savoy family. Have I stated enough how important this family is, man? Not only for the history of Torino, but for the history of Italy. This lot governed through Piemonte, Sardinia, Sicily for more than 800 years, man. Especially here, 800 years. The last king of Italy was from the Savoy family, and it took the referendum of 1946 for the Italians to basically get rid of the king. Now, the Savoy family appeared in the political spectrum of Piemonte in the 1100s, and they basically stayed through various battles, marriages, expansions, till, as we said, 1946. And if you're wondering what happened after the Romans and till the 1100s, well, it was the Gothic people, the Ostrogoths, that took over the region. Then it was the Romans again, I think. Then it was the Lombards. Then it was Charlemagne. And it was at some point after the death of Charlemagne. Probably there was somebody in between, I don't remember right at this point. But that was when Otto of the Savoy family became the ruler here of Piemonte. For a homeless YouTube hobo like me, thinking that this was a home to someone is outrageous. I don't know why, after all these years, I'm still so fascinated by the nose and genitals amputations of sculptures, man. I mean, so basically the Savoy family collected all this, which, come to think of it, is insane. But what I read back there was something that I completely forgot to mention in the previous videos when I was talking about Greeks, my fellow Greeks, who came to Italy in the Magna Graecia period and before. They also brought language. I mean, they brought the adapted Greek alphabet, which was adapted from the Phoenician, to Italy, to the Etruscans. So in there is the Holy Shroud, the piece of cloth in which Jesus was buried. And on this cloth is a faint image of a naked man. The Catholic Church believes it to be the real thing. I was planning to go take the tram and go home, but there is a museum here of the unification of Italy. Let's have a look at that. It's amazing how much this event fascinates me. The reason it fascinates me is that the Italians seem so ununified, you know, so against each other, that it's... Anyway, let's have a look. Look at Garibaldi, man. It's amazing how much Napoleon and the French influenced the Italians. Here is the flag of the House of Savoy. Look at that Roman woman. That was the first parliament, man. Parlamento Subalpino. We cannot get in, unfortunately. Look, for me it's almost impossible to to start and narrate the amount of times areas of Italy were conquered and then reclaimed back. And I mean, whoa, look at this guy pointing his rifle at us. But you get the idea. Eritrea. Eritrea is a country in Africa that the Italians messed up, man. Anyway, who didn't mess up in Africa and keep messing up? Here, check it out. The Balkan Halbinsel. What the fuck is Halbinsel? Anyway, this is us. Hell yeah. Crete. Probably out of the Balkan Wars. Represented in that map. So, the Germans and the Austrians with Italy, and then you have Russia with France. And the Brits. Right, so look, Risorgimento is huge. I'm not going to include this in this video. Torino, however, and Piemonte played a very big role, so maybe in the future. So Torino apparently has a museum which is considered extremely racist. Let's have a look at that. And most of all, let's have a look if it's true. So the thing is part of the university, man. Hi. One ticket, please. Criminal anthropology. Wow. How's my face? Do I look criminal?
No.
No.
Don't look criminal. No. But no, you look normal.
I look normal, eh?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's
You're
the
welcome.
kindest thing someone has said to me today. So this is the basic kit to become a criminal. What this guy has in his laboratory, man. Which is now a museum. Various things that inflict pain. So this Lambroso guy was a professor of criminal anthropology, and he was trying to find marks on deceased criminals' skulls that would pinpoint what made them indulge in a life of crime. Now, his conclusions in today's terms are considered the epitome of racism. Having tattoos was another sign of one's tendency to a life of crime. So you need women, tattoo, knives, long beards, more knives, guns, fish, sex things. Apparently all these skulls are skulls of criminals. And the guy messed a little bit with them to study them. Look at this, man. Casts of faces and profiles. Look at this. Look at his head. So this guy murdered people. This was a thief. So this is a German thief, a German murderer, and another German murderer. He practically says that other races are below the Caucasians and they have a tendency to criminality. Look at this place, man, the old Subuto shop. Check out Torino. So it was this team that won the last Scudetto for Toro. In front of us is the bar suite Toro. I'm not entirely sure if this is the same bar, the historic gathering point for Torino fans. È lo stesso caffè, Suite Bar, degli anni 70.
Sì, sempre sweet, sempre quello.
Che bellissimo.
E a casa prendo il caffè.
Vende i giocatori, Napoli-Atalanta, comprano i giocatori.
È vero.
Quando ero piccolo, io sono greco.
Sì.
Quando ero piccolo, Torino giocava con la mia squadra, con AEK Atena, AEK.
Io c'ero.
E serio?
Sì.
Ad Atene?
Sì.
Oh, che bello!
Ma il Torino,
Loro
gli
sono...
Invincibili, ha una
Sì,
storia
sì,
vera,
sì,
una,
sì.
una storia vera.
Due giorni fa sono stato a
Superbia.
Superbia, sì.
Quanto spesa?
Ah, sì?
Verona, by the way, is a very hostile team for the fans of Toro, despite the fact that they have a common friendship with Fiorentina, which is a little bit weird, but anyway. Right, so since we do have quite a lot of time, let's chat a little bit about the history of this fan base. This is one of the most defining and historical fan bases in the Italian football. I think they have the first Italian ultra group in Fedelissimi Granata, 1951. Together with Sampdoria, they are the first fan base to use the word ultras. And I also think that they are the first fan base to introduce a women's ultra group. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on any of this. I think they had a ladies group called SLAS, an acronym. All of this makes it extremely emotional to be here, you know? To be here and viewing this team, even now that they don't have their shiny years. As for the rest of the ultra groups, man, I mean, there's an entire list. We already talked about the Ragazzi della Maratona. They did proceed, by the way, before completely dissolving to stealing back a couple of Juventus banners. But besides that, from the Delle Alpi era, I remember banners of Granata Corps. They were a right-wing group, by the way. In their symbol, they had this Celtic cross, which is interesting. I mean, Torino was, and is still, I guess, a fan base without any clear political tendencies. The Ultras Granata probably were more leaning towards the left, and the Granata Corps towards the right. Other groups like Mods, Viking, V Colonna, fifth column. There was since a very long time a banner Ciao Fe, commemorating a well-known supporter of the Ultras Granata. As for the years after Delle Alpi, they kind of coincide with the fan card. But we already talked about Banda Bayer, we talked about the Torino hooligans. The Torino hooligans, by the way, are quite an interesting entity. If you do a little bit of search online, you will see them appearing in all kinds of hostile environments without the escort of police. At some point, there was this game between Torino and Inter. And in a mysterious way, Inter Ultras got tickets for the Curva Primavera. How did this happen? I mean, it's quite provocative, isn't it? The TH reacted, and that brawl ended up with the entire group actually getting banned. I mean, they were gone for 5 years, and last year they returned to the stadium, which is good for Toro. Toro needs all the groups that they can have. So, as you can probably imagine, the big enemy is the city rival, I mean, Juventus. Although, I have to say, I didn't see much of Juventus in the city. And I understood from some chats with the locals that Juventus is mainly the club of Italy. And Toro still remains, even after all these years, the club of Torino. Major rivals and quite a lot of hatred is against Atalanta, Samp, and today's rival Hellas Verona, which is a little bit weird. I mean, they share the common friendship with Fiorentina. So Fiorentina are brothers with Verona and with Torino, but Torino and Verona hate each other. I mean, it makes you wonder what's happening when they meet at the stands of Fiorentina. Probably they choose to ignore each other. Genoa is also a friendly fan base, but there are a couple of differences between the two, man, which are quite interesting. At some point, Genoa was struggling to get in the Champions League places, while Toro was at the bottom of the pile, struggling for survival. So the game is Torino against Genoa here in Torino. Torino need to win in order to avoid relegation. Genoa need to win in order to get, hopefully, Champions League. Genoa was the winner. They beat Toro with 3-2, and there was a massive brawl between the players at the end of the game. That was a point that the friendship with Genoa kind of trembled. They sort of restored it after that. Is it me, or does it also say AEK here? Probably it doesn't, but I read it like that. And there's a similar story with a game between Fiorentina and Torino. Remember, friends, Fiorentina plays against Toro in the 2013-2014 period. Torino desperately need the win to get qualified for the Europa League. And the Fiorentina Ultras actually support Torino. They scream to their team to let Torino win. The game was a draw, and there was a very big missed chance for Toro at some point at the end of the game. Anyway, two very different but very similar at the same time stories between friends. Fiorentina, as a club, also helped Torino after the Superga incident. I mean, they were there. They lend them players to help them go on and restart. If I'm not mistaken, also Genoa did help. So there is a connection there. And yes, the hatred towards Juventus is a very common thing between Viola and Toro and Genoa, I guess. Now, Athletic Bilbao, I think, is a friendly club. I think we already commented about a group called Etaras. Another interesting friendship is with the Argentinians of River Plate. Torino do produce every once in a while a second kit with the stripe to honor River Plate. There are probably a lot more friendships or good relations or bad relations with other teams, but I think these are the important ones. As for the rest, feel free to add them down in the comments. Let me show you something. Look at this. So this is erased, right? But it says Cairo Torino ti ama. Cairo Torino loves you, with the date of the founding of Juve. There's quite a lot of policemen. I mean, probably they consider Verona high risk. So as for Verona were one of the very few ultra groups that actually did go to Juventus Stadium despite the prices. So I definitely expect them to come here. Just look at the Alps down there, man. Now, ideally, I would very much like to buy something, a souvenir, from every team that I visit. But you have to think what you do after with all that material. You see, YouTube hobos don't go home as often as they would want to. Look at this, there is even a scarf of Livorno here. And Vigilantes, man, amazing, that's Vicenza.
Stai zitto, Dai, dai, avanti.
There you have it then. We actually got our first team bus. That hasn't happened before. And our second one, look at this. So it's 1 hour before the start of the game. Let's get in.
Allora, questa macchina sì, questa sì.
È piccola.
È piccola, è piccola.
Grazie.
Prego.
Ciao. We did it. So they sing about Sampdoria because of the friendship with Verona, while on the other hand Genoa and Toro have their own friendship. So the extreme right wing in Italy have a movement called Marginalize the African Immigrants, and this banner says Marginalize the Verona fans. Taking into account the strong connection between Verona fans and the right wing in Italy. cannot buy water here. Look at this. These kids here have better tactics than the team, man. That was a handball. There he goes for VAR. Verona are loving it. What was that? What was he thinking? I don't know what to say, man. I mean, these people are really heroes. They are watching basically crap for I don't know how many years. And still, look at them. Look at how many they are. Right, so while I will be searching for something to eat, I say goodbye to all of you. Torino is, how should I put it, a grande piazza, but it desperately needs blood transfusion, man. Anyway, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.